Every day in our lives when we go outside, whether it's because we have to or because we want to on a daily basis, we encounter many kinds of people, and they're usually just strangers who we never seen before, which of course is something that everybody encounters regardless of where you live or where you're from. You're always going to see these people, but you're never going to interact with them whatsoever, or you're probably going to see them that day and never again. But when you're meeting new people at the same time, you could also build friendships and or relationships with these said people that wouldn't have happened if you didn't encounter them whatsoever. But just like with something, there's always a downside, because when you're meeting new people, you don't really fully know them at that moment. And while they may seem reasonable, normal, and just simply a good person, that may not always be true, and that person may be hiding something or maybe hiding the true person that they are. And unfortunately for some people, they don't realize it yet until it's too late. Now, a while ago I talked about a yandere one shot that really, despite it just being a couple pages, it still managed to give a very eerie but yet interesting story at the same time. Well, quite recently I actually managed to find another yandere one shot that, just like the other one, it also has a yandere included, although this one is a bit different, as usually when we talk about yandere stories, for the most part is usually a crazy obsessed girl who is infatuated or just simply wanting a particular guy to be all hers and no one else. Well, in this one that is titled Dangerous Love, while the yandere is a girl still in this story, she's actually obsessed not with a guy, but in fact another woman. And let me tell you, despite it being a couple pages long, it still managed to once again, just like the other yandere one shot, to still be memorable and give a solid story as well. We start off with what seems to be the POV of the other woman, who this yandere girl who goes by the name of Runa calls simply Miss. Now it seems that they were outside and all of a sudden they both encountered each other, in which Runa tells her if the other woman is alone and if she wants to spend time with her at a hotel, since apparently, according to Runa, the other person that she was supposed to be with canceled on her, and now she has nobody to be with and has a lot of free time. And while specifically the other woman never says yes, the next page pretty much confirms that her and Runa did hang out together that night and seemed to hit it off really well, as the next day the woman in question visits Runa at her workplace, which of course shocks Runa, but she's delighted because it does seem that she really found somebody that was really into her, so much so that the woman wants to hang out with her again. And this leads to Runa asking her supervisor if she can leave work early in order to spend time with this person, and that's exactly what they do. And that night, as soon as they're done spending time with each other, Runa tells the woman to give her her contact information so they can spend more time with each other, since at this point it seems that their bond has grown a lot and it seems that things are going to look very well for the both of them. And that's how it usually starts at first. But very quickly, no surprising, we start to see another side of Runa, this being her crazier side, and this being the side of her that we get to see from now on in the story. As at some point when they're both together once again, Runa very quickly demands this woman to block all the women that she has in her contact and reminds her that a while ago she promised that she would do anything for her. And what's really eerie about this panel in particular is that if you look at the phone, you can see that there are some people who are concerned for this woman. It almost seems like there's something going on behind the scenes, and it seems that some people are starting to worry about what she's been up to or who she's been with, as this could have most likely led to a drastic change in her personality or how she lives. But anyways, apart from that, this only gets worse as Runa, no surprising, starts to drastically show her insane side, as we then see a phone conversation between Runa and this woman, in which we see that Runa has been constantly giving her texts and phone calls wondering where she's at. And while at first these texts are very innocent, the more time this person doesn't contact her or doesn't respond to anything she's sending, the more hysterical and the more aggressive she starts to become, as Runa starts calling this woman a liar for not keeping her promise that she said a while back. But what's interesting after this is that after she says all these things, Runa quickly deletes the messages, and of course the other woman is confused as to why she did this. And while someone may make the argument that this was at the moment and she probably wasn't thinking straight or thinking what she was saying, based on what we've seen already, we could tell that this is not something a sane person would do. And things just become very, very more insane, as at some point Runa managed to find where this woman is and came to straight up just knock at her door and demand to be let inside. And while she does have this friendly, cheery demeanor to be let inside, very quickly we see that Runa drops the act and becomes serious, accusing the person that she seems to be obsessed with that she's in fact with another woman in her apartment. This of course makes Runa hysterical, and while normally the last thing you would ever do is open a present to this type of person, somehow or for some reason the woman in question decided to open the door to let Runa in, and this leads to Runa jumping on her with a box cutter, once again being all hysterical and manipulating this woman, saying that she's a liar and that she just played with her feelings and that she didn't mean anything she said to her, and that all this time Runa was just some sort of plaything for her, basically just being a manipulative person, blaming all her actions and what she's saying to this person on her instead of herself. And while the woman wasn't injured or harmed in any way, I wouldn't be surprised if this left a lasting impact on her and in some way traumatized her, because let's be honest, if anybody were to experience this firsthand, this would bring a lot of trauma and people's lives just wouldn't be the same after encountering something very terrifying. And the last thing you ever want to happen to you, for your life to almost be in danger and someone having no problems in taking your life just because of their own issues. We then get to see Runa once again acting all crazy, calling this person a liar multiple times, all to herself with nothing but her phone, and her room is just simply nothing but darkness. Now, after experiencing all this, you would think that somebody with common sense would not want to interact with this person any longer and would cut off all contact. Well, while it seems that Runa had no intentions of ever seeing this woman ever again and made it very clear according to her, for whatever reason, or I don't know what was going on with this person, the woman decides to visit Runa's apartment. And obviously Runa is not happy to see her and telling her to get out of her property. However, when the woman reveals that she not only quit her job, left her house, and why would she do this? Well, simply because she wanted to be with Runa, and shockingly confessing to her that her life is meaningless without her. Runa's demeanor starts to change, happy at the fact that this person threw her life away just for her, and happy at the fact that not only did she do all this for her, but happy at the fact that she only relies on her. And from now on, that's simply going to be the case, where basically Runa's going to be in control of her life because she has nothing left but her. And she doesn't hide this whatsoever. She directly tells this person right to her face that she's glad she put her over anything else or anybody else that cared for her. And in response, the woman who we have been seeing finally shows us who she is, and we see that this woman has an insane look in her eyes, that she's glad that she chose Runa first over anything else in her life. And that's how the story ends, with the door slowly shutting, not showing us anything else about what's going to happen with these two inside that place. But we get a very disturbing detail towards the very end that shows us when this all was happening, before Runa let this woman live with her from now on. Runa, when they were talking through the door, had a knife hidden from sight, and she states in her head that she's glad that this person made the right choice. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened if those woman in question said something completely different or said something that Runa was not happy to hear. This probably would have been the end of this woman's life, and it's something that Runa would have probably been calm and perfectly fine doing, because in her mind it's all about her and nothing else. Because if she's not with this person, or this person is very quick to move on with their life without her, then for Runa it just means that that's an excuse to get rid of this person since in her eyes this person betrayed her trust and played with her feelings. And that's essentially how the story ends, very open-ended, as you are left wondering what's going to happen with these two, but at the same time you know full well that it's only a matter of time before things go horribly wrong, and that someday this woman just simply disappears from existence without anybody but Runa knowing what happened to her. It's just very disturbing to see just how people can truly reveal who they are in the matter of seconds, or when they feel it's perfectly fine to reveal who they are, since for them it just seems that they have this person finally under control. And Runa is a perfect example of this, as she hit it off for a while, a good while, but then when she believed that the bond was there and that they were going to have a good relationship, that's when she decided to reveal what she plans on doing with this person and how this person is supposed to behave around her and what she has to do and what not to do in order to make Runa happy. And unfortunately, while we could just simply focus on Runa, just how much of a very crazy girl she is, we also have to take consideration as well the other person in this story, who even towards the very end, we don't really know much about her. We don't even know her real name, because I highly doubt Miss is her real name, but I could be wrong. However, all this time when I was reading this one shot, I noticed that Runa never really took in consideration this person's feelings. Like, it was all about her and her feelings and what she felt, and what she felt was the right thing to do, but never once did Runa take in consideration about the other person's feelings or what they've been through. That doesn't really matter for Runa. It gave us a clear idea of just how big Runa's ego is. And on the other hand, while we don't know, once again, a lot of information of this woman, based on a few bits and pieces of the conversation, we could tell that this woman is probably not having the greatest life. Again, it is all speculation, but I believe when the first page, when Runa asks her if she was alone, while you could just say this was not really something meaningful, once you finish the story, you look back at that line and you kind of wonder if Runa had like some sort of like good idea that this person was a lonely person who didn't have many people around her, and use that as an advantage to get with her. That could be a possibility, and it's something that unfortunately does happen in real life, where some people for their own intentions will use people or will try to manipulate gullible people who probably aren't always making the best decisions, or are just simply having a really hard time in their life, where they just want somebody to be there with them. And that's something that, of course, when someone notices that, some people will take advantage of that and try to use this person for their own benefits. But while you may feel bad for this person and is a victim of this crazy individual, at the same time, she also could have made her own decisions into letting this person go and not be part of her life ever again. Not only was it very obvious that Runa was trying to get her under control and make sure that she relied on her, but she also literally jumped her in her house and had a box cutter with her. Runa did not have good intentions whatsoever. But after experiencing all this and seeing that this person is not right in the head, she still chose to be with her. She still chose to throw her life all for Runa, because in her mind, she probably felt that Runa was the only person that understood her and that actually cared about her and had the same feelings as her. Not realizing that Runa has other intentions with her, and now that she relies on Runa, she now has full power to do whatever she wants with her and how she treats her from now on. She doesn't have to treat her nice anymore, because, well, there's nothing that she has that's going to separate them or get in their way. So while you can't feel bad for this person, you can also state that this person made their own choices and now they just have to live with that from now on. But at the same time, you could also view this as well as just how really some people are really good at manipulating others, and how they can very easily get people wrapped around their fingers. And that is something that unfortunately does happen, and the only thing you can hope is that the person in question realizes what is going on and what is actually happening and gets out of that situation as soon as possible. But overall, it's still a good one shot, and I know in the near future I'm going to find another yandere story that's going to be worth talking about. But until then, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.